This is sample 3, paper 1. Okay, a computer was bought for €738, including added tax at 22%. What was the cost price excluding VAT? How much VAT was paid? Okay, so in order to do this, what we got to realize is that 123% is basically equal to 738. So what we have to find out first and foremost is what is 1%, and 1% is 738 divided by 123, and then we need to find out what 100% is. So 1% is 738 divided by 123. So 738 divided by 123, €6. Okay, so that is 1% is €6. Then 100% is 100 multiplied by 6. The cost price is €600. €600. Okay. How much VAT was paid? The amount of VAT paid is going to be 738 minus 600, which is €138. Okay. Next one. The computer was sold 6 months later on eBay for $500. What was the percentage loss? The exchange rate on the day was $1 is €1.32. Give your answer correct to one decimal place. Okay, so $500. So we're going to get the sale price. So $500 multiplied by €1.32, and that will get you 500 multiplied by 1.32. 660. Okay, so it's €660 it was sold for. Okay, now €660. Now the loss is the difference in what you paid for it compared to what you sold it for. So the loss is 138 minus 660, which is equal to €78. Now finally, your percentage loss equals loss divided by cost price multiplied by 100 over 1. Not so much the cost price, but how much it cost you originally, right? So let's call it the original price, okay? So original price multiplied by 100 over 1. So what we're going to get is 78 over 738 multiplied by 100 over 1. And what this should get you is 10.6%. Okay. A man bought a car for €36,000. If it depreciated at 20% per annum by the reducing balance method, find its value after 3 years. Okay, so find its amount after 3 years. Okay. So, in page 33 of your tables, so this page 33 of your tables, you're going to see the following formula. And the formula is written down like this. It's called the depreciation reducing balance method. So F is the later value, or the final value. P is the initial value. 1 minus I to the power of T. T is the amount of time in years. And I is percentage depreciation in decimal form. So 20% equals 0.2. So what you can do here is you can say F equals 36,000 multiplied by 1 minus 0.2 to the power 3, because t equals 3. So it's going to get this, put it into the calculator. Okay, so when we put this into the calculator, we're going to get 36,000 bracket 1 minus 0.2, and then we're going to do it to the power of 3, and we're going to get 18,432. So its final value is 18,432. Now, next question. If the scrap value of the car after 3 years is 40% of its original what is this value? Okay, so see part 2, its original value is 36,000, and you multiply that by 40%, and you'll find out what its scrap value is, and its scrap value is going to be 14,400. Okay. What is his percentage loss if he sells it for the depreciation value? What is percentage loss if he scraps it after 3 years? Okay, so percentage loss equals loss over original value x 100 over 1. Okay, so what we're going to do here is, if we're going for the depreciation value, so the loss on this one is, the loss in part 1 will equal 36,000 minus 18,432. That equals 17,568. Therefore, percentage loss would equal 17,568 divided by 36,000 multiplied by 100 over 1, and what we get here, 17,568 divided by 36,000 multiplied by 100, 48.8%. Now, part 2. What's potential loss if he scraps after 3 years? Okay, so same deal. Loss is going to be 36,000 minus 14,400 equals 21,600, and then percentage loss is going to be 21,600 divided by 36,000 multiplied by 100, and what that will get us is 60% loss. Okay, so 21,600 divided by 36,000 multiplied by 100, 60%. Okay. Question 2. 3 plus 2.5, 3 plus 5i is a point A on the arcane diagram where I equals root I. Z is the point B on the diagram. Plot A and B on the grid shown. Show that triangle AOB is a isosceles triangle and find its area where O is 0, 0. Okay, so that's O. Now let's label this 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and we need 5 as well. So Z is 3 plus 5i. 3 plus 5i, that's Z. Z bar is the conjugate. What conjugate means is you keep the real value the same and you change the imaginary value of 5 to minus 5i. Okay, so we go minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5. And we can see that Z bar is equal to that. Now, what it wants me to do is it wants me to show that this is an isosceles triangle. In order to show this is an isosceles triangle, what I need to show is that the two lengths are the same. So I need to show that this length here is the same as this length down here. Now there's a word for that. It's called modulus, alright? So I need to show that Z equals Z bar. Okay? Now to do this, what I do is the modulus of any complex number is equal to square root of a squared plus b squared. And that's for a plus bi, where a is the real number squared and b is the imaginary number squared. So Z bar equals the square root of 3 squared plus minus 5 squared, which is going to be plus bracket minus 5 squared root 34. And Z bar to be squared is going to be this, the real number. It's going to be square root of 3 squared. Oh, sorry, that the first one is Z bar, and the second one is going to be Z. So the first one is Z bar. I did Z bar first, now I'm going to do Z second. And that's the imaginary number there, which is 5 squared. And that's also going to be root 34. Hence, triangle is isosceles. Because this length here equals this length here. And find its area. Okay, the area is very easy to find. Okay, the area of a triangle is a half base by height. So if we just look at this diagram here, what we can see is that the base is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The base is 10 and the height is 3. So we just do a half base multiplied by height, which is a half 10 multiplied by 3, which is 15. Okay, next one. If Z equals 4 minus I, find Z, the modulus of Z plus 4i. Now, Z plus 4i on its own is basically 4 minus I plus 4i, which ends up to be 4 plus 3i. Okay, then it wants me to find the modulus of Z plus 4i squared, and as we know already, that's the real and that's the imaginary, so equals the square root of the real squared plus the imaginary squared, which is going to be the square root of 4 squared plus 3 squared, which equals 5. Okay. Now, the next one, express W. And what W is W is 1 plus Z over Z plus 4i. So W equals 1 divided by, we know Z plus 4i is 4 plus 3i. And we had to show it in the form A plus IB. Now to show it in the form A plus IB, what we have to do is we have to get rid of the fraction. To get rid of a fraction in complex numbers, you multiply the top and bottom by its conjugate. So 3 plus 4i, 3 plus 4i. Now you multiply it out and you get 4 minus 3i. And what you get on the bottom is 4 by 4, 16. 4 by minus 3i minus 12i. 3i plus 4 plus 12i. And then finally 3i by 3i is minus 9i squared. Now the next thing you got to remember about complex numbers is that I squared is minus 1. So minus 12i plus 12i cancel. minus 9i squared is the same thing as minus 9 times minus 1. And put that into your calculator, you get plus 9. So what we can just do is just quickly rub that out and replace it with plus 9. And what we're going to have over here is we're going to have 4 minus 3i divided by 25. Now, once again, look at the top. It doesn't want any fractions really underneath. There's no line here, so we're going to break up the fractions. So we're going to get 4 over 25 minus 3i over 25. Okay. Now finally, show that 25w is equal to the conjugate of z plus 4i. So what we got to do first and foremost is we're just going to get rid of this part here. And we're going to find out what w is. Now this is what w is here, okay? So w equals this, okay? So what we had to find out is what 25w is. So 25w equals multiplying both sides by 25. So it's going to be 4 minus 3i. Now, what we're asked to do next is we know that z plus 4i is 4 plus 3i. And then what it wants us to do is it wants us to get the conjugate of this number. So the big line means the conjugate of the full thing. And as we know about the conjugate is, it just means change the sign of plus 3. So it's going to be 4 minus 3i. So then you get, then you can obviously say that 25w therefore equals the conjugate of z plus 4i. Alright. Next question. Solve the following question given your answer in the form a plus or minus root b over c. Now this is usually an indicator that you're going to be using the minus b formula. Okay, so you ever see the words decimal form or a plus or minus root b, that usually means that you're going to be using the minus b formula. So we start off with writing out the equation again, and I'm going to put the number 1 underneath x plus 1 because the number 1 is present. Then we're going to cross multiply, and what we're going to get is 1 times 1 equals x into x plus 1. Going to multiply this out, and we're going to get 1 equals x squared plus 1x. Bring the 1 over to your side, and what we're going to get is 0 equals x squared plus 1x minus 1. Turn that around, and we get x squared plus 1x minus 1 equals 0. Now, we're going to go to the minus b formula. Okay, minus b formula is on page 20 of your log tables, and it'll give you a quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c. Now you got to see what a, b and c is. A is 1, b is 1, minus b is minus 1, and c equals minus 1. Now you're going to use the minus b formula. Minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So what you're going to get here is minus 1 plus or minus the square root of minus 1 squared minus 4 times 1 times minus 1 all over 2a, which is 2 times 1. Now you can enter this directly into the calculator. Should be no problem with doing that. Press the fraction at the start, so minus 1. Now you can't enter plus or minus, so you have to take one at a time. So plus the square root of minus 1 squared minus 4 times 1 times minus 1 all over 2 times 1. Now what we get here is minus 1 plus root 5 over 2. Okay, then you can go do the same thing, except this time instead of having a plus, you're going to have a minus. and then you get. Now this one is actually different, alright, because it actually has the first one is minus 1 plus root 5 over 2. Now this one actually means minus multiply by 1 plus root 5 over 2. So it's actually the correct answer, but you got to multiply them by minus 1. So it's actually minus 1 minus root 5 over 2. Because when you multiply it in by minus 1, you get minus 1 minus root 5. So two different answers. This is the first answer and the second answer. Basically, keep an eye. The only thing that should change sign is this part in here. So this, the plus and the minus should be different. Okay, part 2. What I'd like to do here is we need to get rid of the fractions off both sides. So part 1, we're going to do our 3 lines. Anytime we add two fractions together, we usually do 3 lines, okay? So what we're going to get is 1 over u equals, it's going to be 2 plus 2 times 1 is 2, v times 1 is v, and then all over 2v. Okay, so that's the first equation worked on. We're going to work on the second one as well. So 2 over u, and we can say this is 2 over 1. So 2 over u equals, once again, the 3 lines 1, 2, and 3. And what we'll get here is 3 minus 2v all over v. Okay. Now, what we need to do with these sort of equations is we need to sort of get a letter on its own. Okay. So what we can do now is try and get u on its own. So bring u up to the top, bring the 3 minus 2v down, and bring this v up to the top. So we get 2v divided by 3 minus 2v equals u. And then we can do the same thing with this one. Bring the u up here and the 2 plus v down here and the 2 plus v to the top. So what we'll get here is we're going to get u on the top right, 2v goes to the top left, and the 2 plus v goes on the bottom. So now we have u is both of these, okay? So now we can put them equal to each other. So 2v plus 2 plus v equals 2v and the 3 minus 2v. Cross multiply, and what we'll get is 2v into 3 minus 2v equals 2v into 2 plus v, and what we get here is 6v minus 4v squared equals 2v squared, 4v plus 2v squared. Plus 2v squared. Move everything onto one side, and what we get here is 0 equals 4v plus 2v squared plus 4v squared plus 4v squared minus 6v. And what we should get is 6v squared minus 2v equals 0. Now you could do this two ways. The first way you could do it is with a minus b formula. You could write it out like this. And you could say a equals 6, b equals minus 2, and c equals 0. Now that's a very long way of doing it. It's if basically if you forget how to factorize. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to factorize out 2v. So I'm going to get 2v into 3v minus 1 equals 0. So okay, so what I'm going to get here is 2v equals 0, or 3v minus 1 equals 0, v equals 3v equals 1, v equals a third. Okay. Now what I can do next is I can solve out what u is. Okay, so using this formula here, or either one of them, what I can say is when phi equals 0, which it is, when phi equals 0, 2 times 0 plus 2 plus 0 equals u. U equals 0 over 2, which means u is also equal to 0. Or u is equal to 2 times a third plus 2 plus 1/3. Put all of that into the calculator. Put all this into the calculator. And what we should get is, let's let the calculator do all the work, and we should get 2/7. U equals 2/7.